Okay, welcome everyone. Okay. All right, well, welcome everyone. We'll be getting started. Hopefully everyone has been having a wonderful day already in this nice warm weather here in Southern California. If you need to be eating lunch, feel free to do so. It is lunchtime. Okay. So this information session today is about the liberal studies and ITEP pathway here at Cal State Long Beach. So the liberal studies is a major that typically students interested in teaching elementary school setting, they will pursue this major to prepare for the credential. And here at Cal State Long Beach, we'll also talk about the different pathways, just the bachelor's degree by itself, and also the integrated teacher education pathway, which allows the students to obtain their bachelor's degree and their credential at the same time. So there's a lot of information going to review today. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if you need to join this session later, because we will be having one later in the semester, feel free to come back again in case you had more questions or wanted to know a little bit more. So I did wanted to introduce one of our current student ambassadors. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Medrano. I am your student ambassador for the College of Education at CSULB. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about our liberal studies. We have multiple pathways for you guys. So pretty much whatever pathway you decide, we pretty much have. So I'm super excited to talk about that. About me, I'm actually at my last semester towards my bachelor's degree, and next year I'm going to do something called U-Teach, which is a cohort 1-year program where I do my student teaching and my teaching methods courses at the same time. So it's pretty cool because I know I get to be in a classroom one whole year with the students, so I get to see them grow. But like you guys, I also was a transfer student at Long Beach City College, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Aaliyah. All right. So let's first talk about the transfer process. So I do want to emphasize, if you have any specific questions regarding the classes you need to transfer over to Cal State Long Beach specifically in our major, feel free to reach out to your counselors to teacher track program at Cerritos College. They are knowledgeable and attentive as to all the requirements, the courses, everything, the whole transfer process from Cerritos to Cal State Long Beach. So just meet with them. We won't go into the whole details of what it takes to transfer to Long Beach, because that each student has a different pathway, a different experience. Some may take longer than others to transfer over. So make sure you meet with your counselors. And then you could also talk and meet with our student ambassadors via appointment. And they also offer virtual tours of the campus this semester. We'll be sharing this bit.ly later on, and I'm sure our colleagues at Cerritos College, they've been sharing out that link with you all as well, where you can meet with the student ambassadors and really get their experience and insight on the programs here at Cal State Long Beach, specifically the liberal studies pathway. Many of our student ambassadors are in different pathways, like Aaliyah, she's going to go through the U-Teach pathway. We have another ambassador going through the urban dual credential pathway as a liberal studies major. And then we have another student who's doing the general ITEP multiple subject pathway. So we have a lot of pathways, and you can meet with our ambassadors to learn more about their experience. And also, if you're interested in study abroad, dorming on campus, our ambassadors actually have done a lot of the student opportunity here on campus. So a few terms to go over. Post-bac, this refers to a program that is completed after your bachelor's degree. Typically, the most general way an individual may become a teacher here in the state of California will be just pursuing their bachelor's degree, completing that. And then once they officially graduate with their bachelor's degree, they'll join a teacher credential program to obtain their teaching credential for the state and in the area they want to teach, and that program is typically referred to as a post-bac credential program. We'll be talking about the BA pathway, which is just the liberal studies bachelor's degree pathway only, no credential attached to it yet, just the bachelor's degree itself. We'll talk about the ITEP pathway, which is the integrated teacher education pathway. That's a combination of the major with the credential here at Cal State Long Beach. And then some acronyms, the MSCP, which is multiple subject credential program. That's the credential required to teach in elementary school. So we'll go review liberal studies, then the BA ITEP options, and a little insight on what to expect towards the end of the program. So kind of giving you all an idea of once you're here and completing most of the program, what's kind of happened towards the last few semesters here at Cal State Long Beach. So what is liberal studies? So a lot of students may confuse liberal studies with liberal arts. So liberal arts here at Cal State Long Beach is a college itself that oversees the psychology major, the child development major, criminal justice, communications, all those different majors are under liberal arts. But liberal studies is the study that prepares students to become elementary school teachers or special education teachers, or they just want to prepare themselves to become a form of teacher in the education field. So when you are applying to Cal State Long Beach as a transfer student, then you'll choose just liberal studies. That will be the major you'll be transferring into here at Cal State Long Beach from Cerritos College. Within here at liberal studies, there's different pathways. They're known as ITEP. You don't decide which one you want until you officially transfer over, and then you let our advisors know which pathway you officially want to pursue here. But in regards to the CSU application, you choose just liberal studies major. So a lot of the main requirements to transfer to liberal studies, you have to, of course, meet the Golden Four, a written class, an oral communication course, English literature, your mathematics, and then other courses, critical thinking, history, and political science. So it indicates that there is a minimum GPA of 2.6, but it's very competitive. Our majors also impacted. A lot of the majors here at Cal State Long Beach are impacted, which means there are just a lot more applicants interested in transferring over to a specific major. So even though you may meet the minimal requirement here of 2.6, we highly encourage students to go higher, to make sure your GPA is as high as you can, bring it in, so that because it is very competitive as you're transferring over. So again, the transfer process here, we will be sharing later in the chat a great guides that the university, Cal State Long Beach University, provides as to the whole transfer process. And also, again, do meet with your counselors at Cerritos College just to make sure you're on track, you're not missing any courses. If you've taken any other courses at other community colleges, make sure that's also included when you're transferring over as well. So now let's go into the specifics of the bachelor's and ITEPs, all the different pathways here at Cal State Long Beach. So our pathways may be different to the pathways that Cal State Dominguez offers, that Cal State Fullerton may offer. Each Cal State is very unique. They all offer the same major, but maybe different pathways and different concentrations. So this is specifically for our university. So you could take two routes. So a lot of the liberal studies students will either just focus on their bachelor's degree in liberal studies and then just graduate with their bachelor's degree. Typically, students transferring and just pursuing the bachelor's degree itself will typically graduate from Cal State Long Beach within even a year or two after transferring, depending how well you came prepared from the community college to our institution. And then from there, with just a bachelor's degree, you're guaranteed to finish at least by 2 years, within 2 years of transferring over. Now, some students, as they come to our major liberal studies, they may consider or want to pursue their teaching credential at the same time as their bachelor's degree. And this is possible only with our liberal study major here at Cal State Long Beach, and that's the ITEP pathway. The ITEP pathway is all about you're pursuing your bachelor's degree and all those requirements. And then from there, you're also pursuing the credential, one of the credential programs, whether it is the multiple subject credential, the multiple subject and special education credential combined. So there's at least 4 to 5 pathways that students can choose from. So these are the two pathways. And then from there, each student is very unique in regards to what they're pursuing as a liberal studies major. One thing for sure is regardless if you're pursuing just your bachelor's degree or the ITEP pathway, which is the bachelor's with the credential combined, you do have to meet the core requirements to officially get your bachelor's degree here at Cal State Long Beach. So you'll have to make sure you complete a lot of the classes in these 6 areas: language arts, mathematics, natural sciences, history and social sciences, arts and humanities, and critical issues in teaching and learning. A lot of these classes you've actually already taken at the community college over there. And as you're transferring over, you're just taking the remaining courses or your upper division courses as juniors and seniors here at the university. So just as a reminder, when you transfer over to Cal State Long Beach, you're not starting over. You're basically halfway through your bachelor's degree, and then you're just pursuing your you're known as a junior and as a senior here at the university. You're not here as a freshman, but as a junior. So don't be overwhelmed thinking like, oh, you have to take all of these courses, but half of them you already completed at your institution at Cerritos College. So you're halfway there actually. Now, if a student is only completing their liberal studies major, so they're just focusing on the bachelor's degree and they're thinking of getting their credential after they graduate somewhere else or later, then as a major only, they'll have to focus in one of these concentrations. So they're finishing up the main courses for the liberal studies major, but then you still need other courses to officially complete the 120 units required to get your bachelor's degree here at Cal State Long Beach. So then those students just choose a concentration, which a lot of students, the concentration they typically would choose is because they're already anticipating like, oh, I want to utilize this concentration to prepare me for my credential in the future, such as human and child development, if they want to focus on that route. We do have some liberal studies majors that eventually want to get their authorization to teach math or even come back and get their single subject credential to teach math. So they just focus on this concentration, or they want to focus on history and social science. So they kind of anticipate, where would I want to teach, or what would I want to teach, or where can I get more support and strength in an area. So these concentrations allow the student to focus on that. Again, the concentration option is only for those just pursuing the liberal studies bachelor's degree only, not the ITEP. ITEP, they don't have to worry about a concentration. So before we go into the ITEP pathway, are there any questions in the chat? If you feel free to unmute yourself during this time if you have any questions. Okay. Yes, the PowerPoint will be shared later. We'll send it out to you guys later this week. Okay. So if you are pursuing just the major, the liberal studies bachelor's degree only, then you'll have to worry about the concentration. And this is where our liberal study advisors, which are equivalent to the counselors that you work with at the Cerritos College. So the advisors here, they will always help you think about, well, which concentration you want to focus on. These are the courses for the concentration. This is what you need to officially finish your bachelor's degree. So they'll be guiding you each step of the way. One thing to note is your first semester here at Cal State Long Beach, you will be required to meet with the advisors through one of their mandatory workshops, because through those workshops, they kind of review all of these options again. They'll review what it means to just pursue your liberal studies pathway, the concentration, and what are the different ITEP pathways with the credential combined. So they'll kind of lay out all the pathways that you get to choose from. And then from there, you can start thinking and choosing which area you want to pursue. And then, of course, the liberal studies advisors will guide you as to which classes you need to take, which required documents you need to submit to the university so that they can know which pathway you're taking as well. So liberal studies ITEP pathway. So far we've been talking about just the major and the bachelor's degree by itself. There are some students that aren't sure if they want to get their teaching credential right after they graduate. Maybe they want to take some time off. Maybe they just want to substitute teach for a bit. Maybe they're considering getting their credential at another state. In the past, we've had a student ambassador who wasn't sure she was going to move to Colorado. So she was just pursuing her liberal studies bachelor's degree. She wanted to do the ITEP, but there was a possibility that she was going to move to another state, the state of Colorado, which she did. She actually ended up moving there after she graduated this past year. So she has her bachelor's degree. And with that bachelor's degree at Colorado, she's going to pursue her teaching credential over there with their state requirements to become a teacher. But she also was able to find a job in a charter school that allows her to teach. She's currently teaching, I believe, 4th grade at a charter school, which gives her the experience, and then she's going to be pursuing the credential program in the state of Colorado. So a lot of students, if they're not sure, then they just focus on their bachelor's degree and then get their credential after they graduate, whenever they're ready. But for the students that already know, like, I want to teach, I want to get my credential as soon as possible, there is that pathway. So the liberal studies major allows you to also pursue the ITEP pathway, which means you're able to finish the requirements to get your bachelor's degree and the credential at the same time. So when you officially graduate from Cal State Long Beach, you'll be graduating with your bachelor's degree and either your multiple subject credential or your multiple subject with special education credential. There's a lot of combinations through these pathways. But they wanted to give Aaliyah an opportunity to talk about the pathway she wants to pursue, which is the ITEP multiple subject you teach, which is one of the cohorts we have. So Aaliyah, would you like to explain or talk about your pathway?
Yeah, so one thing Long Beach that's really unique that I like about Long Beach is that I stay in undergrad doing all this. So with that, I think about like fees and all that goes into being into the ITEP program, because it's integrated with your bachelor's and your credentials. So the one that I'm going, it's called the ITEP multiple subject credential program. It's called You Teach. So it's a cohort. So it's actually urban teaching. So with this, I'm super excited about this one because it's a cohort. So cohort means it has to be done by a certain time. You're with the same group of people. So the same people that are going to be in my classes are going to be all my classes for the same year. And one thing I like about this one, I know I'm going to stay in Long Beach. So they're going to place me in a class with Long Beach. And then right after I do my student teaching, actually the teachers are going to come out to me. So instead of, already parking is getting hectic. So at least with this one, I have the opportunity to just stay at my school, wherever I'm student teaching. And the teachers are going to come to me. So it's really amazing that I'm going to have, I'm pretty much going to be saving money. And I'm doing this all while I'm still in undergrad. So, and I really like the opportunity of working with more like the urban students. I like working with the Black and brown students. So this will give me more of an inside scope. I get to see the students grow for the entire year. And then I can go ahead and talk about the next one, the ITEP multiple subject BILA. That's something that I'm going to do after. So after I receive my bachelor's and my teaching credentials, I'm going to come back and take a few more classes in Spanish. So that way, because I am a Spanish speaker and I would like to incorporate that into my classrooms. So with that, I'm going to do a BILA. BILA is your bilingual authorization that you can get in different languages. So if you speak a different language, I think this is a good way to do it. You can also do it already. You don't have to come back, but I'm going to come back. So you can also do it as integrated. If you know that it's something that you want to do, you can just kind of get it out of the way when you're an undergrad. And this right now, all the schools are really turning into dual immersive schools. They're really turning into English and Spanish. I know Long Beach just turned one of the elementary schools into a dual immersion. So it's those little things that if you want to think about it, we have many different options for you to take.
Thank you, Aliyah. So definitely there is different pathways, and Kana Aliyah mentioned she decided to come back to obtain to do the extra courses for the bilingual authorization, but there are other students that may try doing those at the same time as the U teach. So there's even like ITEP, multiple subject U teach with the bilingual authorization if your time allows it to happen. That's where, again, speaking with the advisors, they can help you plan out your schedule and see how many courses you need for the authorization and so forth. Well, those are just a few of the options. So Aliyah is pursuing the U Teach option. She mentioned it as a cohort. So in these 5 pathways that you see here, 2 of them are cohort style, which means when you apply to the program, there's only about 25 spots available for that program for the next academic year. And then you're with the same group of students taking all the required courses at the same time with the same faculty at the school site. So the cohort groups that are pursuing their credentials, they don't really need to come to the university. That's one of the benefits of being part of the cohort, because they're doing all their coursework and their student teaching at the same time at a specific school site. For U Teach is typically in one of the schools in Long Beach Unified School District, and the other cohort program is the ITEP and UDCP, which is the Urban Dual Credential Program. This is also a cohort model where students are pursuing their multiple subject credential and their special education credential at the same time. This one, they do it at, I want to say Garden Grove and 2 different districts. I think Little Rock, but they have 2 different districts, and then they change every new cohort. And then that cohort just student teaches for a whole year. And then they also take all of their coursework at that school site. So there's no need for the students to drive all the way to Cal State Long Beach for their courses and seminars, when actually they do it in one of the classrooms after school at the school site they're already observing and student teaching. So that's one of the cool things about being part of a cohort, being part of like a small group of students. It's really family oriented. You get to know the faculty. You're with the master's teacher the whole year around. Like, for example, one of our current student ambassadors, he's in the post-bac version of the Urban Dual Credential Program. So he already has his bachelor's degree, and then he just reapplied and is part of the Urban Dual Credential. And he's been with the same master's teacher for the past year. This is the 2nd semester there. This semester he's completing his special education student teaching. Last semester he did student teaching in a general classroom, and he's been with the same like master teacher for both and other teachers in the same district. Yeah, so really these pathways are a really great opportunity to, again, all of this is done while pursuing your bachelor's degree. So one of the other 3 pathways that I didn't mention, they're not cohorted, they're more at your own pace. So a cohort, it's very rigorous. Once you're in it, you're required to finish it within either a year for U Teach or 2 years for the UDCP. 2 years for UDCP because you're getting 2 credentials. So this is like adding on typically another extra year here as a transfer student. So most transfer students, depending on how many classes you're taking a semester, but if you decide to do the cohort, just be aware that you may be here maybe an extra semester than expected, but you are graduating with your bachelor's degree and credentials at the same time. So the other pathway, so just the ITEP multiple subject credential, that's just you're pursuing your multiple subject credential while finishing your requirements for the bachelor's degree. It's all done here on campus. You do student teach your last semester at a school site that the university places you in, but it's kind of at your own pace. You take as many classes you need to take each semester, and then the last semester is typically your student teaching semester. A lot of students do combine the multiple subject ITEP pathway with their bilingual authorization, since the BILA option, as we call it for sure, is very popular right now with a lot of the schools becoming dual immersion, like Aaliyah mentioned. So a lot of students take the extra requirements to become authorized to teach in a different language, so Spanish, I believe Cambodian, and there's two more other popular languages here at the university. There are for these BILA, there are separate requirements, which the advisors will indicate which are the requirements to get that authorization, plus the few courses you will need to take. And that's again where the advisors will break it down for you to see which are the requirements for that. The ITEP dual is basically UDCP, but at your own pace. You're also, for anyone pursuing the ITEP dual pathway, that means they're just pursuing the multiple subject credential and special education credential at the same time with their bachelor's degree, but at your own pace. As an undergraduate student, you take your courses here at the university, and then you will student teach one semester at a general education classroom, and then another semester in a special education classroom. Okay, so all of these are done during your undergraduate time here at Cal State Long Beach. Aliyah did mention tuition. So right now, tuition for undergraduate student is, last time I saw, which was last month, about $3,400 a semester. Tuition for a post-bac teaching credential, which means those are the teaching credentials that are completed after you completed your bachelor's degree. So you graduate, then you have to reapply to the university, and then you're part of a post-bac teaching credential. Those programs, the tuition is slightly higher, it's $400 more, it's about $3,800 more of tuition, not $3,800 more, but $3,800 for tuition. So about a $400 difference in tuition between completing these programs as an undergraduate compared to doing it after you graduate as a bachelor's degree student. So it's really up to each student. Everyone has their plan and what will best fit for their lifestyle. So we just wanted to share all the different pathways that you have available here. So a lot of these, once you transfer over to Cal State Long Beach, you'll decide which pathway you want to complete. Typically, most students by their second semester, a lot of them actually by the time they're here, their first semester, they already decided, oh, I want to do the UTeach pathway. I want to do UDCP, or I want to do just the general multiple subject credential or dual, or the multiple subject with a bilingual authorization. And that's where the mandatory advising workshops with our liberal studies advisors first semester here is very important, because they reintroduce all of this information to you guys again, and then they'll let you know by when you guys should be able to officially pick a pathway. So any questions, comments, a lot of information, a lot of options, but very exciting to see like what is available for all of you guys as you are planning to become teachers. So one question I see in the chat is, if we want to be a special education teacher, will you recommend UDCP or dual? Yes, as of now, currently there's no ITEP for just special education. I've heard they're thinking about creating one, but that might be a few years before it's officially in the books. So if you just wanted to focus in special education, there's two options. You could either pursue either the ITEP UDCP or dual, or graduate with your bachelor's degree and then just reapply as a postbac to just the special education credential. There is just a special education path credential by itself, but it's only available as a postbac option. Okay. Aaliyah, can you continue with the rest of the presentation? I just need a water break.
Yeah. So a quick breakdown of each comparison with the pathway. It also depends. One thing I really want to say is it depends how much you can handle. So for example, me, who I feel like I'm in a rush because I am that older student. That's why I'm taking the integrated pathway, where each I can start taking my teaching methods courses right now. But I want to be in a specific program. So that's one of the good things about it. The ITEP program is that, like, you can start taking them and still be taking your undergrad courses. So that's what I like about it. The bachelor's, so with the bachelor's, you only get your bachelor's degree with liberal studies. And then, for example, like if you want to be a substitute teacher, you need that already. And so every district is also different. So what you have to do is that you have to reapply to come back if you want to do your credentials here at Cal State Long Beach. So you have to come back, you have to reapply, and one thing it's unique about kind of coming back is also like those post-bac units can give you a pay increase depending on the district, of course. Every district is different with their own set of rules and all, but that's kind of the unique. But if you really want to start getting your foot in the door, then going through the bachelor way is kind of like the way to go. And you can start subbing right away, so you can kind of get your foot in the door before you actually start doing your student teaching. But yeah. So quick question. I got a question really quick about, is it a fast pace? No, most of it is on your own pace, if it's not a cohort program. So the cohort program is not controlled by me, it is controlled by the university. And so I just, because I am an older student, I feel like I'm in a rush and I want to get my career going. And that's why I am doing the ITEP U-Teach, because it's 1 year long. Versus if I just do the regular way, which is the ITEP multiple subject, it's on my own pace. But if I wanted to, there's a student ambassador right now. She's taking 18 units, and she's also doing, she's starting to do her teaching methods courses right now. So she's taking her undergrad classes while taking her teaching methods courses. That's what about the ITEP. You can kind of get like a head start on taking those teaching methods courses. And the BILA is also like, the bilingual authorization is also like on your own pace, because it's not a cohort program. So you have to look out for that specific word, cohort, that if it's there, then you mean it's going to be fast tracked, and you have to do things at a certain pace. If not, then it's on your own pace, whatever you can handle. For example, I'm taking 6 classes right now. Can I handle it? It depends really on who you are of handling classes. Everyone's a little bit different when it comes to it. Next slide. Yeah. So reapplying to Cal State Long Beach as a post-bac, and remember the post-bac is you already got your BA, you got your bachelor's and all. So the first thing you do is, you go back on that CSU application. We all know that one. Okay, so we got to go back in there. The due dates are June 1st for fall, and then November 1st for spring. So whenever you are ready to come back. And then it says basic skills not required. So the basics need is obviously the CBEST. One thing that has changed though with the CBEST, because most of you guys are in the teacher track program. The teacher track program obviously leads into liberal studies. So depending on your classes, when you come to Long Beach, you can kind of have them look at to see if they can be CBEST exemption. So of course, depending on your grades too, but you have to be a CSULB student, because there's only looking at those right now, because a lot of students that are in that liberal studies pathway need to be looked at with that. The next thing is completing your program admissions package. They want you to have at least a 2.67, and that's because this is a competitive school. A lot of people do want to come here because I mean, look at all these great opportunities that we have. So there's that you really want to kind of like stand out from the rest. You have to do your interviews. So you have interviews with a staff, and however your interview goes, it goes. I believe they're still doing them over Zoom and all, because they're still doing them over Zoom. 1 or 2 letters of recommendation. So I don't know if any of you guys are part of that CTPT program, where, you know, we're always talking about letters of recommendation and also, you know, if you guys have a mentor, you know, or you guys can like, you know, get to know your teachers or, you know, get to know the staff that's over there at the teacher track, because you will need those letters of recommendation and a personal statement pretty much about you, you know, what do you want to teach? You know, it goes into those little, they usually have like an outline of specific questions that they want you to answer when it comes to like your personal statement. And clearances certificate, CTC, you know, obviously we got to go through those background checks and negative TB testing. You're probably going to hear that a lot. So the TB testing, go to your doctors, go to wherever you can get one of those. Yeah. Of course, the CBEST needs to be met. And there's other coursework that, because if you guys are in the teacher track program, most of your classes should be aligned with being exempt from taking that. Of course, A and Bs are required for certain classes to meet that requirement. And there's other requirements, but if you decide to go that way, you know, you'll get more details about it as you transfer over. And next slide.
Yeah. So before we go to the next slide, the reason you have to reapply as a postbac, this is only relevant if you just completed your bachelor's degree and then just wanted to return to the university. It's just to make sure you have an active ID and an active account, and then you just have to go through the credential programs, just like Aaliyah mentioned here. Okay.
And then how to apply for the ITEP program. So so for me, since I was a transfer student, so it was considered my third year, I had to apply for the ITEP program, or which pretty much this is what pathway you want to take. Okay, so for example, did I want to take the ITEP program, integrating my bachelor's with my credentials, or do I just want to get my bachelor's? So I had to do it like my third year. So it will be like my junior year, because you guys are transfer students. It does come faster for us than someone who transferred from high school. So for that one, they will let you know exactly, just be careful, keep a lookout on dates, because some dates are, some dates vary, but usually it is done in the fall and the spring, depending how many classes you have taken, how many classes you're transferring over. So you need at least a 2.75. You need, you have to do an oral interview with one of the program faculty. So we have a bunch of like, you would have to go into like the TPAC or or call TPAC or do their drop-ins, because they have Zoom drop-in hours. And you have to be like, hi, my name is XYZ. I would like to do an oral interview. And they have pretty good dates available. And most of the time it's been over Zoom lately. So you got to do that. Of course, the verification of the skills test report. You guys, it's kind of like, yes, we need it, but at the same time too, you guys still have a little bit of time left. So as soon as you guys come, the one thing, if you guys have taken at least, you guys know you took your English classes, start seeing if those classes are already aligned with the CBEST to be kind of cleared. So at least like you're half clear, because most of the math is taken here when you transfer over. So that math technically is kind of like when you transfer over here. So, but at least you have your English kind of like out of the way. And of course, the prerequisite is EDL 200, and I believe it's education 220 with you guys. A B or better, you have to get a B or better. Of course, we're trying to be future teachers, so we need to be knowledgeable of things. And if you're trying to do the, like, for example, the BLA pathway, the bilingual authorization, then you need to complete the CSET. And the CSET, of course, is going to be in Spanish. So this is where you really want to get, like, make sure you guys are practicing your Spanishing. Reading and writing it is the most important thing, because there's some people who can speak it well, but when it comes to reading and writing, it can be a whole different topic. So I just want to make that clear. And because you do have to take the CSET, they do need those requirements and all, because they need to know that you're able to really be proficient in that language to teach. Next slide. Yeah, and of course, what is the California Basics Educational Skills? In other words, the CBEST. So over the summertime, we heard there was a lot of misinformation about the CBEST is canceled, what's going on. So, but it's not canceled. It's just there's less of a hassle to really take that test. So most of those tests have really aligned with some of our classes. So what they just did is that if you have taken those classes, which are already a part of your pathway, those classes, if you got an A or B, they can count towards your equivalency of taking the CBEST. So, but if you're not a liberal studies major, say for example, you want to do math, or maybe you're a psychology major, but you want to come back into teaching, then you do have to take the CBEST. Or for example, even child development. If you do child development, you have to take the CBEST too. So with that, you apply, it's reading, writing, and of course your math. So it's those sections. Also too, if you took the SATs, the ACTS, or some of the AP, those are also equivalent towards two. So if you still have those, when you transfer over, you would have to show them to our teacher preparation office, which is called TPAC. And then, yeah, so if you haven't taken the CBEST, and if you're not like a liberal studies major, of course you want to take it. Nowadays, you have computers. You can take it on the computer. It's a little bit more pricier, but you can do it at the comfort of your own home, and everything is timed. And then there's paper. So you can actually go to a center, and we have to pay out of pocket for things. So that's teacher life, right? So yeah, so just I think most of you guys are okay, because if you guys are already doing the teacher track, then usually that correlates with the coursework. But if you haven't, for example, if you are doing child development, then you will have to start studying for the CBEST, because you will need this in order to even go into a credential program. They need to know that you are able to teach these subjects and that you are knowledgeable before you get into a classroom.
Yeah, and for the CBEST, a lot of districts they may require this test just for even some of the part-time jobs. So never assume you won't take it. But again, there's the opportunity for coursework. I think CBEST, since it's focused on writing, reading, English, math, those basic skills, a lot of other majors may be exempt just before you officially pay for the CBEST. And if you're at Cal State Long Beach, talk to our teacher preparation and advising center and double check if anything else will satisfy those requirements before investing in the exam itself. So always double check. Currently, our teacher preparation advising center is only reviewing the coursework for current CSULB students, since a lot of our students are still submitting their coursework. So once you're officially transferred to Cal State Long Beach during your first semester, we highly encourage that you visit the TPAC office. That's where the liberal study advisors are housed anyway. So you could talk to the credential advisors there, and then just double check if any of other ways may satisfy the basic skills requirement before, having to pay and take the CBEST. So a little mini break. But if anyone, it is 12:47, if anyone has to get ready for class or anything, then feel free to log out. We'll email you the rest of the recording and the PowerPoint towards the end of this week. But Aaliyah, will you be able to put the information, the link in the Padlet?
So you guys will email it to us, or do we have to?
We'll email it
click
to
on
you.
that?
We'll be
Oh,
emailing
okay.
to the email you received. We have when you RSVP'd.
Okay, then thank you.
Mhm.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. So just a small little brain break, kind of like true or false, or you could even look at these questions and see in the chat. But a post-bac student must reapply to the university to be admitted to a teaching credential program. And then you could put true or false there. ITEP students must choose a concentration. In the Cal State Apply application, applicants only choose liberal studies major. ITEP allows undergraduate students to obtain a BA and teaching credential. CSULB liberal studies program waives the CSET in multiple subjects. So you all could choose add true or false by clicking the little plus sign here. It shouldn't be an app. If you're utilizing the computer, you just click on the link that was added in the chat a minute ago, and it should pop up as the web browser. But it might be more tricky if you guys are utilizing your telephone. But in the chat, we could do one of these questions just because we have a little bit of time left before going towards the latter part. You don't have to
It's
worry
not
about
the-
this later.
Yeah, that's not the right Jamboard, the one in the one that was sent out.
Oh. Oh, never mind. Well, we'll just continue on with the rest of it. But oh yeah, we're sorry, we added the wrong link. But for the sake of time, we should just continue. So what to expect? So far we've talked about the pathways by itself, the bachelor's degree, the ITEP pathways, and so forth. But we wanted to give you some insight about what to expect towards the end of your program. So student teaching, regardless if you're just pursuing your bachelor's degree and that's it, you don't have to worry about student teaching until you get into the credential program later afterwards. But if you are in the ITEP pathway, you will be applying to student teach. So student teaching is basically a whole semester of being at a classroom the whole day with a master teacher. And then you're basically learning from the master teacher. You're teaching in their classroom. You'll be given the opportunity to teach different lessons or maybe a whole day, depending on the plan with your master teacher. So student teaching will be basically a whole semester internship type of thing for you to get experience. And in order to get student teaching, you'll have to apply to student teaching just to make sure. And you apply internally. You submit all of the paperwork to our teacher preparation advising center, and they just want to make sure you completed all the coursework for your degrees and your credentials so that you could just focus on the student teaching and the seminar that's attached to the student teaching. And then once you apply, you'll start your student teaching. The university places you at a school site. They do ask you that you submit and answer a few questions as to like what's your preferred school district and some questions that will help them to more practically place you in a suitable place. For example, we've had an ambassador 3 years ago. She didn't drive. She had to take the bus everywhere. So in the application, she actually indicated that she doesn't drive, and they were able to place her walking distance from her house in one of the elementary schools in Long Beach Unified School District. During your student teaching, you'll be also taking these 2 exams, Cal TPAs. So basically they're assessments that you have to submit for the state of California that is relevant to what you're doing in your student teaching. So on top of, planning and doing what you have to do as a student teacher, you're also preparing for the Cal TPAs. And there are 2 cycles, and each cycle is $150. So as of now, we highly encourage students, if you're already thinking of the ITEP pathway, do start saving money. It is kind of tricky to work full-time while student teaching because you are full-time as a student teacher. You're at the school during the typical hours that the school is open for the students. And then you need time for the seminar. You need time to prepare for the next day. You need time to eventually start working and submitting the Cal TPAs. So start saving, there are a lot of scholarships available for student teaching for a lot of the different pathways. So make sure like once you have the chance to apply to those as you get closer to student teaching, do so, just so that you can be financially prepared for this semester. For the urban dual credential programs, whether you're doing the cohort or the self-paced, you will be student teaching in a general education classroom for 1 semester and then special education classroom for the next semester. Substitute teaching. So we mentioned this. So once you already have your bachelor's degree, like completed and officially received it from the university, you'll be able to apply for your sub permit. which is very handy for a lot of students. A lot of students, they just focus on their bachelor's degree, get the sub permit, and then get into a credential program because now they're working at a school site as a sub, plus doing their credential. And many times when you're student teaching, as a post-bac student, this is not relevant for the ITEP pathway. But in the future, if you're student teaching and you have your sub permit, you're able to sub for your master teacher and get paid the few times you do that. But again, once you have your bachelor's degree, substitute teaching and getting your sub permit is a very practical way to get experience and to really get your foot in the districts. And then also towards the end of your program, you'll start looking for job opportunities. There's EdJoin, Teach California, and then a lot of the school districts have their own websites like Long Beach Unified, LA Unified, ABC Unified. They have their own websites where they post their current jobs for teaching. So a lot of students, they do their research ahead of time just to see like how much the teachers get paid at different districts. So kind of anticipate doing that research towards the end of your program. And yeah, now if you have any questions, you are able to contact our Teacher Preparation Advising Center. Specifically, once you transfer over here, that's the main advising center here on campus that will guide you through submitting all those forms for the ITEP, student teaching, all those information. When you have questions about classes, you could always visit them. As of now, they have available Zoom advising and in person as well. And then some final tips that were given to us by one of our advisors. Again, your first year of advising, you will have that mandatory advising workshop with our liberal studies advisors. Our liberal studies department, for our liberal studies students, they have peer mentors that will help you throughout the semester, just assist you with anything related to student experiences, how to register for classes and everything. So right now you don't have to decide like, should I do BA or ITEP? No, just transfer over, and I'll just focus on transferring over. If you're transferring as a liberal studies major, make sure you choose that major in the CSU application, and then you'll make your decision officially once you're here. And then we'll in our webs in an email later this week where we share the PowerPoint, and the recording will also share some handy websites, especially our liberal studies website for our incoming transfer students. So thank you so much. We do encourage you. We'll be on for a few minutes if you have any questions. Thank you for staying the whole presentation. And hopefully this was very helpful and knowledgeable, but feel free to join any of our other workshops that we're offering for Cerritos College. And feel free to come back to the second info session for the same topic later if you just wanted to hear the information again or you had more questions. So thank you, everyone. We'll stay here if you have any questions, but if not, then you all are able to go off into your class or anything else you need to do the rest of your Wednesday.